I'm Jana Macheca. I own First Angel Media. I'm a widow.
Hey, I'm Ben.
I'm Christian.
Chris.
Cody.
Rose and Stash.
Nick Musick, the lead singer of Skarlett Sky. I suffer from PTSD.
This is Johnny D from Neverwake. I have struggled with anxiety and depression, and I have been saved by the scene.
I've been saved by the scene.
And I've been saved by the scene.
And we were saved by the scene.
I'm a guitar player, and me and him worked together. It was all 90s covers and stuff like that, and we worked together, just him and I, for like 3 months until we brought in a bass player and a drummer and stuff like that. So, and then once it all came together, we got to play a couple shows and stuff, and then I ended up moving, and it was just too far to travel for rehearsals. And I've tried other bands since then. I just didn't seem to fit. Like I didn't. Yeah, I met an originals band, and I couldn't connect with their original songs, so I couldn't sing them. So.
Do you remember where the first place was that you ever played? In Pittsburgh?
In Pittsburgh, I had the only show I ever played in Pittsburgh was the Altar Bar.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love that place.
That's the only place I've got. Other than that, it's been like little dive joints around. Like we played a lot around Burgettstown and stuff like that. And then it just kind of fell apart there for a little bit. I mean, it was good music, but it just fell apart. So.
Basically, I wrote a bunch of songs and then sat on them for a while. Like they collected digital dust on my hard drive. I was in years, like about 8 years, and they were changed, or some of them were left the same. But they it just was gonna be like a solo project because I was in different bands at the time, and I wanted to like express myself musically in different ways. And then I ended up leaving the last band that I was in, and I got a phone call from John and got him on drums, and I already knew Cody. He was going to be the bass player, and then we got Ben and Chris in on it, from Ben from Craigslist, and I already knew Christian. I didn't know that he sang. Like I only knew that he was a good drummer and a good guitar player. So.
Did you know him from like another band?
Yeah, our old bands played together a bunch of times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just never knew that he could be a singer.
The drummer from his old band was actually my marching band instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we were always pretty tight.
And that same drummer taught John drums in school in the drum line.
Yep.
That's insane.
And
so
that's how John
like
got my phone number.
It's like everything came full circle almost.
Yeah, it was weird, but really cool.
Nice.
He actually knew my cousin growing up too, and we just met like a couple years ago, but meanwhile he's been at all these birthday parties when we were little kids, and we met and never even knew it.
Facebook did an update that would no longer allow the text to go. So I started doing longer reviews, show reviews, music reviews, just on the Facebook page. And it was actually people, they weren't being mean, but it wasn't. I had one guy comment, could you maybe put it in article form? But Facebook will take out all the stuff that makes it an actual article. And it was like, he has a point. So I changed that around, and then it was like, well, maybe I need a website. And so I got with Bill Damiano of, at the time, the Pennsylvania Rock Show. He also now runs Build the Scene, a radio station in Pittsburgh. He builds websites, and we got together. He built me this nice little website, and I started being able to share articles from that. But to run these articles, all I had were cell phone pictures from these bands' pages. And one night at 3 a.m., I get a phone call from an old friend who was in Musick, and I wake up to hello, and this is rough, but he said, "Why the hell does every photo you share on your site look like it's a show in someone's mom's basement?" And I was like, what do you, they're not. And he's like, they're cell phone photos. Don't you have any professional photos out there? I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know, and he was like, listen, pick up a damn camera, do something. And at the time, I was taking cell phone photos at shows, and I had friends telling me, there's something about the way you angle this. There's something about, I never would have put two and two together. But
But you did.
I did. I had friends who wouldn't let it go. If anyone knows Jerry Mulligan, they know that once he gets on an idea, he's not letting it go. And I kind of told him about this, and he's like, "So get a camera." Well, yeah, but get a camera. So through insistence of my friends, and Eric was also on the same lines, I got a camera.
It didn't necessarily start when I was a kid. I mean, my career started when my father's been a musician for 30 plus years, and I know I got into music from him, and I really started to get into it, into the scene whenever I, got my first band together, which was, it was actually Neverwake, but it was under a different name. But that started way back in like, our first album was recorded in Weirton, West Virginia, so that was the first time that I finally decided to do something as a group, and it evolved into Neverwake, which we started playing shows. It was me, my friend James, George, and Marcus, and we just started out playing local shows, and pretty soon we got a gig in Pittsburgh, and we were like, oh sweet, now we can play in Pittsburgh. And then ever since that one gig, it was just like, well, now you're in the Pittsburgh scene, and then you start meeting people here and there, and then it's really cool because you get to meet other people in other bands, and you get to see what they're about, and you make relationships that way, and you make new friends, and it was really cool. It's nice getting introduced to a scene because of that aspect, getting to meet everybody, getting to see how they can support you and how you can support them.
Yeah. So that I can get like a timeline, like when were you in the service?
From 2002 to 2007.
Okay. All right. And how many times were you deployed?
Twice.
Twice.
Yep. 28 months.
Yeah. That's a huge show. Did you have kids at that point?
No, it was just me. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. Like I said, my husband was in the Marines.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a whole different level of hard being at home, trying to keep everything together.
Right.
Like, I mean, obviously, like what you guys go through is insane. But it's difficult on all aspects.
I guess it was better for me coming back to not having a family, because then they didn't see the change. You know what I mean? You know there's a change, but you don't know, and you know there's an issue, but you don't know until someone points it out. I got out August 26, 2007, and it was probably 6 or 7 months later. Like, I just had a real hard time adapting back to the civilian life, you know what I mean? Like, and work, not so much working, but being around people.
Yeah.
Or doing anything for that matter. It's been like PTSD for me. Like, PTSD took me into drug addiction and all these things. So like I've been able to come back out of the fire and come back. So
On April 29th, 2012, Nick died. He died in his sleep. It was kind of a perfect storm of issues that were happening.
Tell me about
I don't think I did at first. Within that year, I lost him. We had custody of my stepson, who I thought of as one of my kids. And I lost him about 6 weeks later to his mom. That was not exactly a friendly situation. The month that Nick died, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer. I lost him in October. It was just a little bit, too much.
So where did you take that afterwards?
my entire identity was wrapped up in my marriage, in being a mom, my kids. I mean, during our marriage, whenever we became Christians, I went all into it. I got rid of all of my CDs. I got rid of everything that was me. I was trying to be what I thought I should be. I kind of wiped away my own identity.
On like some of the stuff that maybe you guys have gone through that were inspiration for your music, or like I know Stay Awake is like a huge, like that's like personally the first time that I heard you guys playing that at the Fallout Shelter, that was like a big one for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was kind of like your what's the story behind that?
Well, Stay Awake, it's kind of tied in with the story from Victim to the Algorithm. So growing up and stuff, I always had like depression, anxiety, etc. But like, I basically got into a rough patch where I was doing drugs and stuff, and I did dropped acid. Turned out to be something really bad, and afterwards gave me like severe PTSD. I woke up every night with panic attacks. Like every day, I thought about killing myself. Like it was bad. But this actually gave me like a huge outlet because like I could write the lyrics into a song, and like maybe somebody else who's dealing with like the same problems that I did can hear that, and like I like found my own resolution to it, like to an extent. Like I still suffer, but like kind of learned to like live with it. But yeah, Stay Awake is basically like describing how I feel about the situation, about how I feel about my own depression, and what kind of keeps me going, and basically just to live the next day. Because like, the way I look at it, life's kind of like a TV show. Like, you might have a couple bad episodes where like you don't want to watch it, you don't want to stick around, but then it's like Game of Thrones. The next day, like some spoiler alert, like the Jon Snow died in one episode. Next episode, he comes back.
Yeah.
Like, so like I don't know, something good could happen the next day. And not only that, but like, you got people that care about you. Like, no matter who you are, like, there's always somebody.
Like going through all the groups at the VA and all that stuff, and then like I had a psychologist that wanted me to record myself telling stories, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen because telling these stories just makes it worse. And he's like, well, you got to get through that, and I'm like, there's no getting through it.
Right.
I was like, unless you've been there and done that, and you're trying to like make sense of everything, hearing yourself talk about it just makes it worse. Because I did it, and I didn't sleep as it was, and then when I do that, it would just amplify it. All this pain and anger clouds your head, and then like you're like, oh well, I'll just try this, and the next thing you know, because I liked uppers, I didn't do any downer. You know what I mean? And so like going through that, and then like keeping it separated from your family, but still your family's a part of it, because then you're, you know, you're messed up, and it sucks. So then I just wrote another song called Epidemic, and it's about drug addiction. And so
Can we what was the other song that you wrote about?
Abandon All Hope.
Abandon All Hope. Do you mind telling me like a little bit about that? Like
Yeah, like the first part of the song, like, because like every night, it doesn't matter if I'm having a bad day or whatever, when I close my eyes, like, you can't even imagine the demonic shit that I see. Like, it's never been on paper. Like, if you could put that into a movie, it'd be the scariest movie you've ever seen. So at the beginning of the song, I say like, every time I close my eyes, I can feel the darkness rise. So then it just goes on, and the spoken part of it is, it's about suicide, and so.
Okay. Like, did you feel at one point that
Yeah.
suicide was like the only
Oh
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually in May of 2007, I attempted my life, and it just didn't work out.
Well, that's a good thing it didn't.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like we're all meant for.
There's a bigger project for all of
There's
us,
a bigger picture.
because
Absolutely.
mine was, I put a gun to my head, pulled the trigger, fire and pin hit the round didn't go off. So, and now I'm here.
I do feel like it.
Live to fight.
My experience never really had a beginning. It kind of was just there, and I feel like it was dormant for a lot of, well, my life, and it was just there to some extent. And then all of a sudden one day I woke up, and I mean I didn't know that I was depressed, but I just knew that something was wrong. Like I was saying, that I walked outside and the sky was blue, it was warm outside, and I couldn't feel happy about it. I couldn't feel if someone were to stand there and say, "Hey, here's $1 million," I would be like, "All right." And that's what happened with me. I knew that I had some form of it, but I never really had some idea of like the enormity of it. I didn't really know what was going on. It was just all of a sudden it hit me with a wave. One day I was I woke up and I walked outside, and literally I could not feel anything. It was just like I was standing outside. It was blue. Everything was fine. It was hot. I could not do anything. I was just literally just like dull, and I just didn't know. I had no idea what was going on, and it lasted and it lasted and lasted, and I was just so confused, and I was so worried about everything, and what was going on, and what I didn't know internally, how to deal with it.
Know that I discovered music again. Um, it was 7 years ago that he passed, and I don't really know. I'm 41 now, so it was at
So you had a
some
good 4
point.
years of kind of just floating and not really just
Yeah,
existing.
yeah.
So what was it that brought you?
My friends. Um, I always had a small social circle, but my friends kept telling me, you used to love going out and going to shows, finding music. Um, you used to enjoy doing this. We can't handle seeing you do this to yourself. You're just existing. And I didn't really know what I wanted to. And then there's this thing in my area called the Pottery Festival. And they have a live band there. And this band called Social Anxiety was playing. And I mean really, I had actually started trying to find venues in my area. There were none. It had just all died. The people that I used to know, we'd all gone our separate ways. We'd all grown up, had kids. Um, so seeing this band, they were doing covers, but they were doing a really good job. And I remember I just kind of switched back into my old self for a minute and went and introduced myself. And the guy that I tried to introduce myself to kind of gave me this, and he will watch this. Eric is basically how the band was named of social anxiety. But he and Ray and I started talking, and Eric actually encouraged me even more. And he kept saying, "No, you need to get to this place. You need to go to this place. Have you heard of this band? Have you seen this band?" And that was kind of what I needed because nobody else that I knew where the music was.
So would you say that he was like kind of your inlet into?
Definitely. Through him, I saw these bands, uh, places I didn't even know existed. I felt more me. It was fun.
This is like stuff that I really like think about like every day.
So do you do that like just for yourself, or is your hope that you can like be that person for somebody else that
I don't want anybody to like, because I feel like a lot of things like in music now, it's kind of a problem that I've noticed. People look to the person saying what they're saying in their lyrics. People look to like what people are saying, like their lyrics, and are like, oh my god, like this person's my idol because they said this, and it's like, man, like I appreciate if people relate to what I'm saying because they understand, and like maybe like what I have to say will help them, or like it's like the missing link to like what they're thinking. But it's not necessarily like I don't want you to like look to like, because I feel like people like idolize things because they feel like they need something to idolize. Where it's like, focus on being you. If I say something that helps you, that's awesome because that's what I'm trying to do. I want to be able to say something that like people could find common ground on, or people could be like, I can agree with that, and like that actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it that way before, like because everybody's got different perspectives. So I don't know. I do hope that it helps people. I do hope that it helps people, but I don't expect people to like
But it's
completely
Idolize you.
infatuate,
Or, yeah.
infatuate
Yeah.
themselves with like the whole thing, like in an unhealthy like manner.
Yeah, like it took a long time to even try to tell a story, you know what I mean? And then after I started writing and got into it and realized that everything that I write about comes from all this stuff that's like built up in my head. So now, yeah. So now it's like I want to be able to tell a little bit of the story, or tell like and kind of get it out there and I don't know, talk about it a little bit, because it's like a shitty thing, you know.
Yeah.
Just let's see, when was that? Like September of last year. Ash called me. He's like, hey, I want to get together. I got a great guitar player, and he's like, we want you to come in and sing for us and see how it goes, and we want to do originals. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, if you have trouble writing, he said, I got all kinds of material. And I'm like, all right. So they gave me this track, and I went home, and it took me 20 minutes.
Really?
20
So
minutes.
It just was like an
It
automatic
just
thing?
I like threw up on the paper. Without, I mean, for lack of better words, it just came out
You found the right.
like quick.
Yeah, that's good. That's
So,
good, like a duck to water.
and now I have a whole notebook at home that if I'm driving, I hit my record button and I record what I'm thinking, or like if like I have a notebook now that I just write, and I try to put it into like some kind of song format, and I sit there and write without music now. And so when we do,
It's more like poetry when you're writing it,
I in a sense,
do you think of it
sometimes.
that way, or do you think of it kind of more?
But when I'm writing, I'm doing the breakdowns and bridges and chorus and verse and
so
stuff
you're
like that.
literally thinking of music.
Yeah, the whole time.
That's awesome.
That's
Did you ever think that?
no, and I didn't think it would be such a great outlet. Like, it changed my whole demeanor about me. So
When I actually realized what was going on, I feel like Suffocate was the first one. I mean, I always knew that I had some kind of anxiety, and I've always written about those, but I don't want to say it was written blindly, but I didn't realize how serious it was until a couple of years ago when I had this episode. And I feel like it was Suffocate, because it helped me realize what this is and what I have to do to deal with it. Suffocate is about, well, what we decided to do in the video is, I mean, what was written about is, it's written about dealing with something is that is a part of you that you have to overcome. And the way that we took it in the video is everybody was sitting around the table and everyone thought of something that they wanted to overcome that was holding them back. And for me, it was anxiety and depression. With Justin, it was time and not having enough time to do things. It could have been betrayal for somebody else, and it could have been, whatever for someone else. And for anybody listening to the song, it's something else, but it's all about your vice or whatever's holding you back. My monster in that video, what we did is we took each thing that was holding us back and we turned it into a monster. And we had them do their own certain things. They had their own weapons or whatever, but they all stood for something. Mine was anxiety and depression, and she was kind of this lady standing looming in the background, and that's kind of what it is. It was just meant to be something that's always around, and in the video I get sucked back into the darkness, and it's really what happens. It's hanging around, and all of a sudden you could have that really bad episode, and you get sucked into the dark, and you're literally like, you don't know how to get out, you know, and the only thing that you have to do is to push forward, and you have to make yourself, even if you don't want to, you have to do everything that you can to get out, because otherwise you're not, you're going to be stuck there.
It's been my whole life, like from as far back as I can remember. Like I was like 4 years old with a little guitar. You know what I mean? Like that's my last name is Musick. Like it's one of those things that's always been there, and it always gets you through everything. For people that relate to music, you know what I mean? Some people are like, well, how do you listen to a song and get past everything? Well, you know, because these people have been through that and they're writing about it, and that's how you relate to it, you know. So I think coming back into it and um, getting with the right group of people, that's, you know, that's brought people, other bands and stuff to the show, like especially our debut show when we had other bands there, and then just how, like, how much everybody supports each other. And then, you know, especially with my wife, because she feels kind of like I just want to be the center of attention, and that's not the case at all. Like, I'm not that typical like lead singer person where they're like, oh, it's all about me. No, like I want her to be up front there too, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing this, and I wouldn't have made the progress that I've made now. So.
Viral radio just came from these a-holes who have huge hearts, because I recently had a bunch of my musical gear stolen. So after it was all stolen, knew probably wasn't getting back, I found basically my dream guitar online and sent him the link to it. And he's like, oh, man, I might buy that. So I was like, really? Okay.
I'm a stinker.
Well, sure enough, they bought it and decided to live feed them surprising me with it. They're kind of brave for that. But they did, and then it touched the hell out of me, and apparently it touched a lot of people.
I mean, even with like the original post that you had put up looking for it, it got shared
962 times or something.
So
Yeah,
many times.
it was crazy to us to see like how many people like actually cared and like wanted to like try to help us. You know, like it was like we were expecting like maybe like a couple of our friends like would be like, hey, like my buddy's gear got stolen. Like it'd be cool if like you guys could like let somebody know if you happen to see it. Like tell us. And then it just blew up, and we're just like, holy crap! Like
that tends to be how it happens with stuff here. I feel like like it's weird how a lot of us are so surprised that there is such a strong community.
It is things like that pinpoint that it's better now, like than it used to be. Like, and you could, I don't know. There's a lot of complaints that are legitimized that you could throw at Facebook, but like, it really is just all comes down to like how people are, like, and how they will act as a group, and like what they'll do to like pull together for something. Because more people that I don't know shared that post than people that I do know, and really a lot of people that I do know shared that post, and it was like really unexpected.
Beside you and behind you to help support what's going on in your life is amazing. But to have people so close who can create with you is very beautiful, because they can, you know, help with whatever way that they can, whether it's with some lyrics or with its, you know, a guitar riff or whatever. It all helps, and it all, you know, it's something that you create together, and anything together is better than something alone, because it's, you know, you have more hands in it, you have more support, and I'm always appreciative of it, and everybody is too. They really, you know, sometimes somebody might be nervous about bringing something to the table, but then once they bring it here, they see how much support they have, and that is amazing. You know, it's an extended family, and I'm sure that none of us would give it up. I do believe that there is a lot of camaraderie in the scene. You know, it always feels like everybody is supportive of somebody else's creation. It's not something where they're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool." It's more of like, "Oh, that's awesome." And, you know, it drives you to create more, and makes other people want to do something. You know, we feed off each other whenever we do stuff like this. I get an idea from this, you get an idea from that, and it's beautiful because we all have something in common. We all have something to do, whether it's together as the whole scene or separate in our own little projects. Um, but I am so happy to know so many musicians and you know, have that support from everybody.
I knew that there was a show that night. And these guys, I mean, if the bar had had 500 people, that's the kind of show they put on. And that night kind of convinced me. It was like, you know, I am a writer. I do understand where the old ways used to be of doing this, and I need to learn more because bands like this people need to know. And it's funny because soon after that I was cleaning out Nick's closet, and like I said, I got rid of everything. And I found this Ziploc baggie. It had my CDs in it and a note. And it said, I don't know when you're going to need this, but I know you will and I love you. And if that wasn't kismet, if that, and it was like, that was actually April of 2016, and that is what I consider First Angel's anniversary. Because whenever I saw that, I mean, after sitting down and crying for a little bit, I knew that this was the direction I needed to go.